Welcome to the warm-up. As I hope everybody's got their umbrellas out. I know Jeff Powers got his. I got mine. What do they say? April showers bring May flowers. We're about ready to see some sweet May flowers. The way
I tell you what,
it's raining this week, right, buddy?
Man, I was doing some yard work. You gotta be prepared this week because we got a lot of rain coming. So you might as well get that yard looking good.
Exactly, and it may wreak havoc on the softball schedule here. But the playoffs do start this week, and we're kind of excited to take a look at that. And I'm going to let Jeff kind of preview it as we go into the lineup. Jeff, we got some 6A contenders here, and the Houston area. You know, we got some hardware last year, so let's try to get some more this year. Who do we need to look out for in 6A?
Well, I know you want me to start with Kingwood, but I'm going to start with Katy. I love what
Katy.
The Tigers are doing great, man. They're 28-5. You know, I think they've been one of the big surprises this year. I mean, not a total surprise because we all know that E.K. Smith does a great job pitching for them. She's definitely one of the best in the state, if not the nation. I mean, she's got that rise ball, plenty of rotation on it. And you know, Katy seems to be feeding off of her. They can also score a lot of runs. I mean, that's been sort of their thing this year. They're in a tough district. You know, Katy Jordan's also really good, 21-5. Paetow had a nice season, 19-10. I think those three teams have all made each other better, but I think Katy's got a shot to go a pretty good ways. Meanwhile, over in the Cy-Fair area, Bridgeland looks good. You know, they're 26-5, 13-1 in District 16 6A. I think the Bears can make a deep playoff run. I feel like Bridgeland's good in all sports. You know, they've just done really well this year all the way around. District 23 6A, that was about as tough as it gets. You know, we talked about defending champion Kingwood. You know, they're 29-3. They're going to open up with Brazoswood in Class 6A D2. Atascocita was on their heels pretty much all year. They're 23-8, 11-3 in that district, and they're actually tied with Summer Creek at 11-3. Atascocita is going to open up with Deer Park, who won District 24-6A. That's a Class 6A D1 matchup. And, of course, Summer Creek, I mentioned that they were 26-7 overall. They're going to battle Clear Springs in a 6A D1 matchup, which will also be pretty interesting. Fulcher, another Class 6A D1 team that could make a run, and I think Friendswood's got a shot to do some damage. The Pearland Oilers, 28-4 this year. Kind of quietly.
Right? 3 years in a row they get 28 or more wins.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, they're just having a great season. We all know about Peyton Sugar. She's just had a great season. She's the catcher, offensive MVP in the district. She really manages the pitchers well. She's headed to Texas State University, and she's going to have a lot to do with how far they go because she not only is the catcher but leads team offensively, can really manage that pitching staff well. Of course, they were 20 in District 22 6A. They were 16-0, just ahead of Pasadena Dobie, who's always good. So that was an interesting run this year for Pearland. Tomball looks good. Tomball, 22-3, another 16-0 team in district play. They're over in their 15-6A. The Cougars really came on strong this year. We all know about their baseball team being number one in the state, but that softball team also really good. And Magnolia could give everyone a run as well because Magnolia is right behind Tomball in District 15-6A. Over in Class 5A, I really like Lake Creek. You know, they've done so well over the last, 4 or 5 years, you know. They are just, without a doubt, as good as they've ever been.
They're nationally ranked, too, right? I believe they're up.
They are.
Might be number one. I don't know.
Well, definitely in Texas, and they're 29-1 overall. They're in District 17-5A. And it's been a pretty challenging district. You know, College Station, A&M Consolidated, those are the teams. Montgomery is also in that district. But when you talk about Lake Creek, you got to talk about Sarah Wiggins. She's not only a star pitcher, but she's got some star power at the plate. She's headed to Wichita State University. I like what she's been able to do this year. And, you know, the one team that actually beat them, Barbers Hill, they are tough again. They are 30-3. Of course, 14-0 in District 19-5A. The Eagles are the only team, again, to beat Lake Creek. So keep that in mind. And they whipped them good, 10-2, by the way.
Good,
yeah. And Barbers Hill, they actually scrimmaged Katy on Monday in a playoff tune-up. So they mean business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Hill could go a long way. LaPorte, they finished 20-3 in the regular season. They had a nice District 25A run. And then I want to give a shout out to Livingston. You know, they are 24-6. They had an amazing season They were passed in district play by Liberty, who was 29-5, and they were 12-0 in District 19 4A. So watch out for Liberty. But Livingston could make a run. They've got a nice squad. We got a chance to meet them earlier this year. They have such solid softball practices. I was so impressed with their softball practices, just how thorough they are, and they do a great job over there. So hats off to Livingston and what they've been able to do this season.
Yeah, you know what? You brought up the 5A teams, Barboursville and Lake Creek. I'm very intrigued because you look at the UIL rankings and all this stuff, and you see Melissa there. They've won the last 2 state titles. I know you mentioned Barboursville's playing Katy. You called it a scrimmage, but it's too late in the year for a scrimmage. They're going to count that one. But it's going to be a good measuring stick because Melissa's only got 2 losses, and they got beat pretty badly by Katy. Granted, their starting pitcher was hurt. So that's a good measuring stick right there because those two, Lake Creek's in Division II, but those two have a chance. We're looking at a collision course for Melissa and Barboursville. I'm really looking forward to seeing if that thing transpires in the final because, Barboursville is Region 3 and Melissa's Region 1, so they would, if they ever met, they would meet in that final game. So I'm kind of secretly hoping for that to see what we really got here.
Sure. Put it on the board. I think it'll happen. We'll be there, of course, in Austin to perhaps see that matchup. We'll have all the coverage for you over at McCombs Field at the University of Texas. That'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Put it on the board. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You had to make me do that. All right. Let's get into the Media Day segment because you had a chance to see a lot of old Houston celebrities at one place, man. Talk to me a little bit about that and who you got to talk to for our Media Day segment.
Well, it was the Brothers in Arms Celebrity Golf Tournament. What a great atmosphere. It's over in the Woodlands. Andre Ware, in case you didn't know, I went to school with him, by the way. Yeah, man, University of Houston. Andre Ware and I go way back. Of course, he played at Dickinson High School. Warren Moon was there, Vince Young. Those are the main 3 celebrities that kind of bring in everybody. Patti Smith, by the way, does a great job of getting not only the media out there. People in Houston know Patti well because of her days of working at Fox Sports Houston and kind of covering all the teams. She was always doing the sideline reporting for the Astros and Rockets. She does such a great job over there with that golf tournament. And it's not only a great atmosphere, but it was a who's who of, athletes over at Carlton Woods Golf Club. I mean, this place, I couldn't believe it, man. I turned around. There's Eric Dickerson from the Sealy Tigers. Roger Clemens was there. I could go down the list.
Jerome Bettis in there as well.
Jerome Bettis was there. That's right. And, I know when I walked up to him, I said, heads or tails, kind of jokingly,
Oh, no. You can get yourself slapped. You're going to end up missing some teeth if you keep talking like that.
I know. Jeff Bagwell, of course, was out there.
Nice.
A bunch of Houston Rockets. Calvin Murphy was out there. Rudy Tomjanovich. If you're a Houston guy, this was the place to be. But why don't we kind of spotlight Andre Ware, because not only because he played at Dickinson High School, but just what he means to the community of Houston. He's on the broadcast for Houston Texans football, and he's just a big Houston guy. He was part of that run and shoot with Jack Pardee, and of course, Pardee went on to coach the Houston Oilers. And I kind of heard through the grapevine there that Andre Ware was kind of teaching Warren Moon a little bit about the nuances of the run and shoot offense, and that'll lead our Media Day segment. Andre Ware.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Serving up the best treats and eats in Texas. Stop by DQ and treat yourself before and after the game.
So, Andre, tell us about how you got started with Brothers in Arms.
Well, it was just an idea that kind of came to light, and Patty and I and Warren and Vince, we all sat down and talked about it. Things just fell in place, and we've managed to create an extended family with the students, and they get along great. They help each other out. It's been a good ride.
Talk about the bond between you and Warren and Vince.
Yeah, we all have similar backgrounds where we were all raised by single mothers. And so that's kind of the premise for what we're doing. The starting point, because our students that get the scholarships have to be from single parent homes, as we were. We've been able to find kids that have worked out well in the program.
Yeah, just having an opportunity to meet them when I was younger, just watch them being successful at U of H and for the Houston Oilers, makes me really happy that I get the opportunity to start a foundation with these guys, and we all similar in a way. and we all got the same passion for our community.
It's been a great marriage for the three of us. We've been good friends for a long time, and we're able to do some positive things in the community with this foundation. We're able to raise the money that we need to fund these scholarships, and that's the most important part of it. That's the reason why we do this.
All of us from Houston, we all know one another. We've all rooted for one another. To be able to come together and do this is great.
What are your memories of being at Dickinson? You being from Dickinson High School, talk about just kind of, giving back to the community that you were raised in.
Yeah, Coach Nelson has done a wonderful job there in terms of, building a program and putting it together. Every year they're going to be good, and I think next year they've got a lot coming back, so they'll be good again. He's just done a wonderful job in that community. For me, it's coming in and or being from there. It's where everything kind of started for me, and it's home. I can call it home, go home, and get, just relax, so to speak, when I'm down there.
And the other home, University of Houston. They've made some strides this past year. Seemed like it was a really good run.
Yeah, I think both programs have it right in terms of the head coach, Dickinson with Coach Nelson, and then obviously with Coach Fritz at U of H. He's building it. He's won everywhere he's gone, and I know this, I didn't expect them to do what they did this year, this early. When you're trying to put a program together, what he lost in the off season, when you win 10 games, that's huge, and I did not expect it this early.
And did you lean on Warren at any point?
Oh yeah, all the time. When I first came out, it was everything. I mean, from the business aspect of it, who I was going to hire as an agent, all the way down to that. So we worked out together, threw together in the off season, lifted every once in a while together. So he's a great guy to lean on.
We ran the same type of offense. We were able to work out together in the summers. He's a young kid here in the community that I looked up to because of what he was doing on the field as a college football player, and if I could help him in any way and be supportive, I was going to do that. And we created a bond over that time, and it's lasted all the way until now. So we've done some great things together with this foundation. We were really good friends back in the day when we were playing, and we both survived it.
The run and shoot offense, you're trying to get rid of the football as quick as you can. And at the Astrodome, that would be kind of a bonus,
That was a key, to get rid of the football as quickly as you can. And Andre started in the offense before I did, so I was able to lean on him and get some pointers about different things in the offense that I wasn't really sure about when I first started doing it. So even though I was the older statesman, he's the one that helped me with some pointers on how to get better in this offense. Jack Pardee. We stole him from University of Houston and brought him over to the Oilers.
I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. Just been getting my ins and outs post-graduate life.
That's the lives you're affecting right there. That's one of our students, a graduate student already. So thank you guys again from the bottom of our hearts. Let's go get it.
We got it. Thank you. Well, that was some good stuff. You look like you had a good time out there, man. A lot of good celebrities out there. And nice to hear from Andre Ware again from his old Dickinson days. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Vince Young, all those guys. It was a good time. It really was.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports is brought to you by Allegro Marinade. Whether you're the family chef, a backyard barbecuer, or a jerky-making genius, maximize flavor and tenderness with Allegro Marinades.
Well, we still got some baseball action to get to as the season winds down here on this Friday. A lot of the back and forth type stuff where you got a 2-game series. You play Tuesday, you play them again Friday. We've talked about that all year, but we got some big ones this week. We'll talk about it in the agenda brought to you by Allegro. Let's start off with a big one in the Houston area as Stratford's taking on Memorial for a second time. They played up at Stratford on Tuesday. They're going to play down at Memorial now, and this one's for all the apples. If they call it apples.
Yeah, man, District 17-6A. I feel like Houston Memorial and Stratford are always battling, at the top here in this district. Both teams have just had incredible seasons. In fact, Stratford plays a really tough schedule. Their overall record doesn't look that impressive. They got like 12 losses. But in district play, just the one loss coming into this week, and Memorial, same thing, one loss. So it's on like Donkey Kong, as we like to say. In Stratford, they've got a lot of good players, Ryan Lehman, Riley Praniff, They got a senior outfielder named Brandon Phillips. Keep an eye out for him. Caden Stone, Jack Sullivan. They got 33 players on that roster. Is it me, or does that seem like a lot of players?
That's a lot. I hope a couple of them are ball boys. I
was like, is this including the JV? I mean, what's going on? So maybe they just got a whole bunch of pitchers. I know, like, the University of Texas has like 20 pitchers over in their bullpen. So maybe that's the way you do it now in baseball. Just put all those extra guys out there in the bullpen.
There you go. Hey, another big one up in 16-6A. As Bridgeland's taking on Cy Woods, Bridgeland wins both of these things. They play Tuesday. If they win Friday, it looks like they might have that district title.
Well, we talked about last week how maybe Cy Woods was probably the surprise team of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, in District 26-6A, I mean, undefeated coming into this week, 13-0, 28-2 overall. Bridgeland 24-6-1, 11-1 in district play. I alluded to the fact that Bridgeland's been good in softball earlier. They're good in baseball, obviously, as well. I just think that when it comes right down to it, these two teams have kind of been right there at the top. Of course, Cy Ranch right there in that district. What a great district 26-6A is for baseball. And I certainly think these two teams making each other better. You want to be playing some good, tough competition before you go into the postseason. And, of course, baseball will be in the playoffs the week after softball.
Absolutely. Good things stacked up. And then you go down to 5A, and you got Iowa Colony taking on Friendswood. And we learned earlier this week that Iowa Colony, they'll be seeing the last of one of their better baseball players, Carson White, as he's going to move on. But, hey, if you got a chance to go check him out, this is the last regular season game at Friendswood, and then he moves on to Hightower.
That's right. Well, his dad got a job over there at Hightower, and you got to follow Dad. And his dad's really involved in a lot of different things, not just football, but also in weight training and stuff like that. I know he kind of has a hand in still with Lamarck, because I know they came from there, and he's still kind of involved in stuff like that. So, but hats off to him, and Hightower instantly is going to be a team to watch out for next year. But as far as 25A, Iowa Colony, they actually suffered their first district loss just last week to Brenham. So they came into this week 9-1, 21-8 overall. And Friendswood is always good in baseball, 17-10 overall, 9-2 coming into this week. They'd won 5 in a row, by the way. So I think this is an interesting matchup. Iowa Colony and Friendswood have always been able to kind of have a lot of good battles, whether it's the hardwood, the gridiron, and now baseball. So it just seems like there's a lot of good athletes at both of those schools, no question.
Yeah, and Iowa Colony's got that SEC recruit pitching for him, Landon Brown. I'm not quite sure if he starts on Tuesdays or Fridays, but he's somebody they're going to rely on when they get to the postseason, that's for sure.
Man, let's talk about that just for a second. What's your thoughts about, as you go into like a week where there's going to be rain, and how does that affect the pitching? You know what I mean? Do you almost want to sit your big star if there's a threat of rain, because you don't want a guy to get out there and pitch 2 innings, then have to wait, and stuff like that?
Especially for this week, because next week you don't even get started till at the earliest Wednesday or Friday. So you can kind of manipulate if you have a lot of rain at the beginning of the week, you can manipulate your rotation, especially if you're going for a title, knowing that he's going to get extra days of rest anyway, because of the whole playoffs don't really start until Wednesday at the earliest, maybe Thursday the following week.
Well, and think about this, as you get towards state, we're no longer in that Final Four phase. So now you really can everyone knows who you're going to pitch in the final now, because you're going to go with your best pitcher, of course. But in the old days, it was like, I say old days, I mean, just 2 years ago?
2 years, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you had to think about, did you want to have your best pitcher pitching in the semifinal? Because the very next day you're in the final if you win.
That's right.
And so now that's changed all that. They've kind of taken that little bit of that question out of the minds of the managers. I bet out of all the sports, I'm thinking baseball probably likes this setup the most.
You're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Unless you're Tom Ball, where you have about 8 great pitchers, and you don't have to worry about it. I'll throw one up anytime I want to.
I was at Tom Ball earlier this week, and Tom Ball is they have a freshman baseball team. I mean, think about that. Is that unusual?
Who are they playing? Does
We
anybody else
didn't have
have
freshman baseball teams at Klein Forest when I was there. Man, you had your varsity and you had JV. But I mean, is that normal? Have you have freshman teams?
Who are they
Come
playing?
On, man.
I don't know if everybody has freshmen.
No, this was a practice, and they had like 30 freshmen out there practicing.
That's wild.
I mean, half the battle would be: do you have enough kids that can actually get out there and and get enough players to field the team? Heck, they had so many. I just wonder, do they have scheduling issues?
I would assume
who all has freshmen? Teams.
I would assume they would.
That's a big reason why they are the number one team in the state. They got a lot to choose from.
Got a nice talent pool, right? Nice talent pool.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, keep your eye on your team. If you have a favorite team that's playing this week, keep an eye on them. Make sure their game's happening when you think it's going to happen, because we're expecting some bad weather this week, and you just constantly keep updated and see what's going on. The game you think is going to be on Tuesday may not even be till Thursday, but figure it out. We're dodging raindrops this week, but
and hail.
Hail, no.
Hail. We had some hail in Austin. Look out.
Oh, brother. All right, well, we got softball playoffs. We got baseball winding down. We got all that for you. I hope we got you guys warmed up for another week of great sports here, and a weekend of great sports. And make sure you catch the show, Chevy's Inside High School Sports, 11 p.m. on KHO 11 on Saturdays. And we're going to leave you now with the rankings of the 6A softball teams, because softball practices start right now, or playoffs start right now. So let's take a look at the rankings, see who we think is the best 5 teams in softball.